Hey guys, I am the Metal Jesus, and today I'm very excited to talk about one of the most influential RPG series of all time, and that is the classic SSI Gold Box series of RPGs that were released back in the late 80s to early 90s. For a lot of people like me, it's what got me into RPGs. This was groundbreaking for the time, and the entire series is pretty amazing, especially if you are a big box PC collector like myself. We look at these and we just get nostalgic. We get all misty-eyed. But more than that, it really covered a lot of ground. It broke a lot of rules. Another thing to note too is that in this video, I'm going to show you one of the games in the series, and it just happens to be one of the most collectible and rare RPGs in all of PC gaming. It's a pretty cool series. I think you guys are going to like it. Let's take a look. Now, before we get into the collecting aspect of it, let's talk about the games themselves and why they're so fondly remembered. First up, this is not a watered-down hack and slash game, but a full-blown, stat-driven, advanced Dungeons & Dragons RPG experience on your computer. Populated cities, colorful characters, dungeons, missions, dialogue, and even strategic battles were all here, just like the pen and paper games you would play with your friends, but sitting at the kitchen table. SSI essentially took what made the Wizardry and also Ultimate games great and then built upon them. These games had the typical first-person dungeon crawl and exploration in the upper left window, but they added a fully tactical combat engine for battles. And then, to help complete the look, because these games were fully licensed, the artists even recreated the monster portraits taken directly from the printed monster manuals. So let's talk about the games themselves. This is Pool of Radiance. This came out on the Commodore 64 back in 1988. This is my original copy here, but it also came out on other systems. I also have the MS-DOS version. One of the reasons why I love collecting big box PC games is because they come with all sorts of really cool stuff. And this game is no exception. This is not a collector's edition. This is just what came with it. So we have the floppy disks, and you also have the Wheel of Translation, which is essentially copy protection. A bit deeper into the box, you get the manual. Now, this is designed for people who are not familiar with how advanced Dungeons & Dragons work. This is the Adventurer's Journal, and this is a must for playing the game. To start off with, there's over 8 pages just in the beginning of this, explaining the entire world, the city that you're going to be exploring, every little detail that you need to get involved in the game and understand what's happening. A bit later into this book, you're going to run into the proclamations of the City Council. Notice that they're numbered, and that's because in the game, it will tell you to flip to this page so that you can read the details of what's going on in the city. Next up are journal entries, and notice that they're numbered. So what happens in the game is that they'll refer back to these. They'll tell you to go check out journal entry number 12, and then you'll flip to this page, read it, you'll get some backstory, maybe get a hint or two, and then continue on with the game. However, what's really clever about this is that you can't cheat it. So for instance, some of these journal entries are actually false. Some of these will actually steer you in the wrong direction. So you can't necessarily read ahead because the first time you play the game, you don't know which ones are actually true. It's pretty cool, and if you collect these kind of games, you're definitely going to want to make sure that this is included in your box. A nice bonus of this particular copy is the clue book. One of the challenges of these original games is that they did not have in-game maps. So what that meant is that you as the player would have grid paper and create your own maps as you played the game. Now, I look fondly back on that experience. I thought it was pretty fun at the time, but just be aware if you're first starting this game, it can be a bit of a challenge without that clue book. The second game in the series is called Curse of the Azure Bonds, and it was released in 1989. Some of the highlights for this game include the ability to bring over your previous party. That's pretty awesome. Also, this game raised the level caps, it added side quests, and also it improved some of the interface. Oh yeah, and then here are my handwritten notes and maps that I mentioned previously. Ah man, it brings back memories. Here is the third game in the series called Secret of the Silver Blades, released in 1990. Now, for the most part, this game was not well received, primarily because players ran into gameplay balance issues whenever they imported their party from the previous games. Kind of a bummer. And finally, we get the fourth game in the Forgotten Realms series called The Pools of Darkness, released in 1991. This game is considered a great ending to the saga and your band of characters. It had much improved graphics as well. SSI wanted even more games set in the Forgotten Realms universe, so they ended up outsourcing some of these to Stormfront Studios. Does Stormfront Studios sound familiar? It did to me. Well, it turns out that they also created the Lord of the Rings Two Towers games for EA, as well as the beloved Demon's Stone and Bloodweight games. So in 1991, they created Gateway to the Savage Frontier, and then a year later, they followed it up with Treasures of the Savage Frontier, again using the same SSI Gold Box engine that players already know and love. However, it was Neverwinter Nights that Stormfront Studios broke all kinds of ground. They basically took that time-tested Gold Box engine and modified it for AOL to become the world's first graphical, massively multiplayer online role-playing game. This is long before other games like Ultima Online, Meridian 59, and even Sierra's own The Realm Online. And it's because of its place in gaming history that this game is sought after by collectors like me, often selling for hundreds of dollars. SSI wasn't done with the Gold Box engine just yet. They also launched a trilogy of role-playing games based on the Dragonlance universe. First up was Champions of Krynn in 1990, followed up by Death Knights of Krynn, and then finally The Dark Queen of Krynn in 1992. And then SSI threw fans a bit of a curveball by releasing two games based on the Buck Rogers universe using the Gold Box engine. Here's a bit of an oddity. This is a one-off game that they did that does use the Gold Box engine. It's called Spelljammer Pirates of Realmspace, released in 1992. Now, I just recently got this in my collection. I haven't played it personally, but people describe it as a fantasy space adventure that is often compared to the Planescape universe. Pretty cool. And then finally, the last release that does use the Gold Box engine is called Forgotten Realms Unlimited Adventures. Basically, it's a gift to all those fans who love this series. It's an RPG maker and editor who want to keep the good times rolling, who want to make their own Gold Box games. At the end here, I want to mention where you can get these games today and how you can play them today. The easiest way by far is to just go buy them at GOG.com, goodoldgames.com. They've acquired the rights to these. They've updated them to work on modern versions of Windows and Mac and Linux, and they're dirt cheap. So I actually have paid for and bought pretty much all of these games at GOG.com. What's great about it too is they've also digitized all of the maps, all of the journals, everything you need to play it on a modern system. But that's not all. Some Uber fans have created something called the Gold Box Companion. This is an add-on that modifies and enhances these games for today. For instance, it adds auto mapping, which is huge. It also adds easy to use journal entries and helps with some of the interface issues, making it less tedious. I'll add a link to GOG and the Gold Box Companion in the video description below. So that's a quick look at my SSI Gold Box collection. Now, I'd love to know down in the comments what you guys thought about this. Also, I have a lot more big box PC games from the 80s and 90s, and I'd love to know if you guys would like to see more of this content on my channel. There's a bunch more that I could do. I could cover the Wizardry collection, the Infocom text adventures. I could cover the Baldur's Gate series, maybe more SSI games. So much potential. Love to know what you guys thought. As always, I want to thank you for watching my channel. Thank you for subscribing, and take care. Some other computer role-playing games I was obsessed with in the 90s were Eye the Beholder. Oh my god, they were so beautiful for the time. And then also the Might and Magic series, specifically the third and fourth games, were just so epic and so killer. Alright guys, thanks so much for watching.